Status of Philippines in terms of using technology in education. Even before COVID-19 struck and caused problems for millions of families, the country's financial status is one of the top factors that add to the growing education issues in the Philippines. Furthermore, more children, youth, and adults can't get a leg up and are thus left behind due to unfair access to learning. A 2018 study found that a sample number of 15-year-old Filipino students ranked last in reading comprehension out of 79 countries. They also ranked 78 in science and math. One key insight from this study it implies those tested mostly came from public schools. Hence, the crisis also lies in the fact that a lot of Filipinos can't read or do simple math. Indeed, it's clear that there is a class divide between rich and poor students in the country. Though this is the case, less developed states can focus on learning if it's covered in their top concern. However, the Philippines doesn't invest on top-notch learning as compared to its neighbor countries. In fact, many public schools are lack of computers and other tools despite of the digital age. Further, a shortfall in the number of public school teachers is also one of the top issues in the country due to their being among the lowest paid state workers. Aside from that, more than 3 million children, youth, and adults remain unenrolled since the schools are shut down. It goes without saying that having this constant crisis has its long-term effect. These include mis- and disinformation, poor decision-making, and other social concerns. Due to COVID-19, education issues in the Philippines have increased and received new challenges that worsen the current state of the country. With the sudden events brought about by the health crisis, distance learning modes via the internet or TV broadcasts were ordered. Further, a blended learning program was launched in October 2020, which involves online classes, printouts, and lessons broadcast on TV and social platforms. Thus, the new learning pathways rely on students and teachers having access to the internet. Philippines below average in regional innovation ranking. The Philippines rank in terms of innovation was unchanged from a year ago, despite high scores in the business environment, education and information and communication technology or ICT, according to annual report of the Cornell University, INSEAD, and the World Intellectual Property Organization or WIPO. The country ranked 73rd in the 2018 Global Innovation Index out of 126 economies, steady from a year ago. The Philippines ranked 9th among the 30 lower middle-income countries included in the index and placed 13th among 15 countries in Southeast Asia and Oceania, which was described as below average. The report said that the country performed better in terms of innovation input, with its rank inching up to 82nd from 83rd in 2017. Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry President George T. Barcelon said in a phone interview that despite getting some strength in education, the government should put more attention in advanced science, technology, engineering, and mathematics or STEM education. I think the problem is in our school. Kulang tayo sa STEM education. That's why we still don't have the technical capabilities unlike other countries, President George T. Barcelona said. From 73rd last year, the Philippines jumps to 54th place among 129 countries in the Global Innovation Index in 2019. It scored 36.18 this year, up from last year 31.56, and 51st in Global Innovation Index this 2021. The country's score significantly increased in 5 of the GII's 8 pillars: institutions, infrastructure, business sophistication, knowledge and technology outputs, and creative outputs. This is great news for our nation and our innovation ecosystem as a whole. It recognizes the effort of the various government agencies like DTI, DOST, and NEDA in advancing innovation among our people and MSMEs. creating an innovative culture as well as in building linkage with academy and industry, said Secretary Ramon Lopez. With President Duterte signing into a law of the Philippines Innovation Act or RA 11-2093 and Innovative Startup Act or RA 11-337, we expect further improvements in our ranking as we intensify our efforts to build our country's innovation and entrepreneurship ecosystem, accelerate and globalize our startups, and better prepare our MSMEs and industries for the fourth industrial revolution, added Secretary Lopez. The GII 2019 and 21 notes that among the Philippines' strengths are the percentage of tertiary graduates in science and engineering, e-participation, percentage of firms offering formal training, trade competition and market scale, knowledge absorption, knowledge diffusion, and creative good export. With innovation at the heart of our Inclusive Innovation Industrial Strategies or I3s and the implementation of the ease of doing business and efficient delivery of government service, the DTI is confident that we can further improve our innovation and entrepreneurship ecosystem in collaboration with DOST and other national government agencies and other partners from industry and the academic community. Our focus is in strengthening our human capital, building our capacity for research and development, and facilitating technology transfer and the conduct of commercialization of market-oriented research, remarked Undersecretary of Competitiveness and Innovation Rafaelita Aldaba. Together with DOST, NEDA, DA, DICT, CHED, and DepEd, the DTI formulated and is implementing the Inclusive Philippine Innovation and Entrepreneurship Roadmap. The roadmap aims to bridge the gap in the country's innovation and entrepreneurship ecosystem toward fostering connected and creative communities across the country. Through Regional Inclusive Innovation Centers or RIICs, the TTI envisioned the transformation of the country's region into productive and innovative economic growth. Philippine public schools status in the midst of the pandemic. The Philippines is one of the 5 countries in the world that have not started in-person classes since the pandemic began, affecting the right to learn of more than 87 million Filipino students. While new variants are causing a rise of infection, UNICEF is advocating for a pace of reopening schools. Beginning in low-risk areas, this can be done on a voluntary basis with properly safety protocol in place. In 2020, schools globally were fully closed for an average of 79 teaching days, while the Philippines has been closed for more than a year, forcing students to enroll in distance learning modalities. The associated consequences of schools closures, learning loss, mental distress, missed vaccination, and heightened risk of dropout, child labor, and child marriage will be felt by many children, especially the youngest learner in critical development stage. UNICEF Philippine Representative Oyun Saikan Dendev Norov says, studies have shown that the positive school experiences during this transition period are a predictor of children's future social, emotional, and educational outcomes. At the same time, children who fall behind in learning during the early years often stay behind from the remaining time they spend in school, and the gap widens over the year. The number of years of education of a child received also directly affects their future earnings. The pandemic has transformed the education system and taught institutions to be more flexible by considering various teaching models, provided the learning objectives are still met. In 2022, education institutions will be offering options to students to be on campus or choose some level of hybrid learning. Moreover, this pivot to hybrid strategy will not only attract and retain students but also pave the way for the rise of micro-credential courses, while will encourage reskilling and upskilling. Throughout the pandemic, technology has served as an enabler, playing a crucial role in student engagement and learning efficiency. to increase capacity and address the challenges of hybrid learning. It is crucial for education institutions to invest in technology. Accessibility of resources will be a key focus, and the school will utilize new tools to enhance communication and collaboration. This will trigger initiatives to improve information technology infrastructure in the areas of learning management system, internet connectivity, and learning resources. Additionally, schools will look to revitalize their learning design strategy to ensure that their online courses and digital pedagogies are fit for purpose. The profound changes due to the pandemic have triggered a rethinking of the traditional methodologies employed to educate students within the system, with increased focus on enhancing the learner experience and the advent of digital technologies to improve learning modalities. We will see more opportunities to innovate, enabling education system to respond to the needs of the modern world. Conclusion: despite the many challenges, we can see the evolution of our education over a 5-year period. We have already made significant progress in terms of innovation. Despite the fact that we are facing a global pandemic, we maintain the innovation that we have. But on the other hand, our education system have a huge problem to fix. This is the poverty that we have in our country. We have already have the necessary technology to use to improve our education system. But the problem is the poor people that cannot access the given technology. On the other hand, the good side is that we slowly adapt to the situation that we have. We are now used to having blended learning and other platforms to use. Maybe next school year, we can cope with the adjustment and be ready to bring a new education system to the Philippines, especially to the new government that we have, if they can fix the huge gap between technology and education in our country. I hope to see one day that our competency in education rises and more individuals innovate for themselves in using technology. We have the technology and educators to improve our education that can build a new generation of digital literate individuals.